Hey everybody, welcome back on the stage of the ADAC SimRacing Expo 2023. We are heading straight into our first race of the day, and I have Alex and Nico with me, our commentators. Good to have you here, guys.
Good morning.
Say hi to the audience.
Morning, everybody.
Yes.
Great to see that the queues were unbelievable this morning. 9:30, everyone waiting in line.
Yeah.
I think I probably saw about 5, 6, 8 queues.
Isn't it
10
crazy?
to 15 people deep. The hall is buzzing with activity, but of course, we're both buzzing about the racing because now we get into the stage where prize money's up for grabs, the professional
Isn't
trophy.
it? Yes.
First of 2 races.
Let's put it that way. Things are getting serious now, honestly.
Yeah.
It's the 3rd year of the professional trophy. Each year, the format has changed a little bit, so maybe you could wrap up like the evolving of the race.
Well, the first time the professional trophy was run back in 2021 when we were last at the Nürburgring, we had 2 qualification races. Then the top 12 went for prize money at the Expo. It was won by World Fastest Gamer 2, James Baldwin, who's now competing in ESLR1 with Mercedes-AMG eSports. Then last year we went into a true endurance format, very much like the Fanatec GT World Challenge powered by AWS, a 5-round calendar, 6 hours per event, and then Williams eSports, Triton Racing, and Unicorns of Love were the top 3.
That was a battle.
That was a battle over 6 hours round in the Eifel region.
Yes.
Around the Grand Prix circuit. I'm waiting to see whether Kunos at some point is going to put the full Nordschleife on its upcoming AC2 next year. The proof will be in the pudding on that one. But this year we're doing a flat-out sprint format where it is 45 minutes, no mandatory pit stops, but we've had 3 rounds so far. We've had Paul Ricard, we've had Monza, we had the Nürburgring, but today we're going to the home of British motor racing. Silverstone, 3.661 miles, 5.891 kilometres, 18 turns, and there's 2 races. What that means, folks, is we have 23 teams, 46 drivers.
Yes. So, wait. So, because if I don't stop you, you will talk for all over the day. You wouldn't believe. He can do that. It's true. He did it yesterday, actually.
Yeah, I did that.
And day before.
I did that last year as
actually, he started last Christmas talking all the time. So
no, I've been doing it for longer than that.
Yeah. Whatever. Talking about the turns, 80 turns you mentioned. What is the most important one? Nico, do you have a guess there? Well, everyone.
Boiling it down to a single driver is always difficult, especially in 2 races. The 2 guys will have to get along properly, having similar setup philosophies and all that stuff, knowing each other. That's the great part with teammates. Yeah. You know who you're driving with. But they'll have to work together to make this work, and this is the crucial part for this competition.
Yes, okay. Your guess, your pick for the most special turn in the race? Like where will we see the most action?
Copse Corner, which is part of the... We're using not the international pit straight to start, where you'll actually use the original starting point, which is coming out of Woodcote and heading into Copse Corner. Yeah. Flat out, right-hand sweeper, and then you go into one of the fastest, if not the fastest complex in modern-day motorsport. Maggots, Beckett, and Chapel. And then the run down the hanger straight to Stoke Corner. Mm-hmm. Slipstreaming is going to be plentiful. We've got 6 different manufacturers represented over the 23-car grid. Yes. And what's more, we have a total prize fund of €5,000 to give away.
Yes. Okay, you're done?
Done.
Okay, perfect. Let's talk teams. Maybe we can talk. You could mention 1 or 2 or 3 teams which are very special, or which you maybe have also a pick or something like that.
Well, you look at the likes of Williams eSports. They've got 2 teams running in this. Veloce. We've also got Get Closer Racing, Ren Velton, of course, they're here exhibiting as well with us at the Expo. Yaz Heat, ITB Racing, a new team. We are just getting notification that we're going to be going to grid in about 60 seconds' time, so qualifying's done and dusted. I'm going to say one final thing. Expect the unexpected today. Yeah,
okay, so you, I can get you to say like your favorite team or something like that.
The thing
as a commentator, you can't, right?
You've got to look at it from this perspective. Every single driver, every single team is worth being on this grid, and we're going to see 2 fantastic races. But race 1, title's not going to be decided. It's going to go down to the wire this afternoon. But I think it's time for me and Nico to head into the commentary box and get things underway.
Definitely.
For race 1.
One last question to Nico, because maybe you have kind of not a suggestion or something like that, but maybe a wish for a team to win.
difficult. It's difficult because a lot of people I've raced against so far in SRO esports, before that even like on Race Room, one of the guys that I haven't seen in ages that just turned up on the entry list here, Thomas Morant, so shout out to him. And also, you know, friends, colleagues from way longer than I've actually done sim racing almost.
Okay, so everybody, please let's give it up for, of course, the racers and those two commentators over here you just got to know, Nico and Alex. Have fun, guys. Have fun with the race. Let's start.
Okay. Right, ladies and gentlemen, 45 minutes around the home of British motor racing, Silverstone. One other additional factor for the ADAC SimRacing Expo Professional Trophy is that the results from the top 3 last time out means we have successed ballast. So, Tinko van der Velde in the number 5 Audi representing Williams Esports starts on pole position with maximum success ballast, Nico. Then alongside we've got Amadeo Castorino from Team Racing Point. Very good job by the Italian crew in one of multiple McLarens on this grid. George Boothby rounds out the top 3, joined by former colleague and now rival, a man who was at the front of the field before a penalty shoved him down the order, Mikhail Statsenko from ITV Racing. Then we've got Max Voitschner in the sister Williams Esports car, the number 55 representing the Chill Blast brand. Then we got Kevin, I think that is going to be, that's Kevin Leuner in the number 27. That's SDL Esports. He'll be partnering Tommy Razier, who was competing earlier on this season. Then we've got Jeffrey Ritchie in the 121 Thomas Enger Sim Racing, run and founded by the XF1 driver. Then along with him will be Oscar Tringale for Glitch Motorsports in the highest placed of the Ferrari 296s. Then it's the number 44 of Visceral Esports, Kevin Tade, joined by another Ferrari on the grid, Ren Velten Esports, Joris Appel in the number 71, Luciano Vitvoet for Rocket SimSport, the team run by Chris Buncombe and Jensen Button lines up on 11th. Then we have got a certain Mr. Michael Romagnoli for Absolute ResTech by Acelith. And then the 77 of Get Closer Racing's Tobias Schur. Formation lap, it's a full tour of this 3.661 mile, 5.891 kilometre circuit here at Silverstone that was opened back in 1948. Looking at the rest of the grid, we've got the likes of Tobias Schur, then we've also got the 137 of Dakota Esports, Sean Tempest. Along with him will be the number 72 of the Ren Velten Esports Blue, the sister car to the 71. And it's got Julian Neumann behind the wheel. The number 15 of Pitbull Racing's Pavlo Polovchuk will round out 16th. Taras Junkevicius for West Competition Racing, BMW Romania, lines up in 17th ahead of Karim Mateo. Mateo in the sister Absolute ResTech by Acelith 125 Lamborghini Huracan GT3 Evo 2. Rounding out the grid, it's going to be Tristan Bollwinkel for the 812 of Gridfinder Racing and Martin Klaassen in the number 62 Brabham Esports powered by Eau Rouge Lamborghini Huracan. Rounds out the 20-strong grid. Nico, this circuit, fast flowing, technical slipstream is going to be crucial, going down Hanger Straight, going down into Abbey Village Farm Curve, and then also, of course, the National Pit Straight where we go from Woodcote to Copse. Thoughts ahead of this 45-minute race, because the anticipation is palpable.
I think this is one of the biggest circuits where you can see different setup approaches working differently. It's, of course, as you said, a lot of high speeds, a lot of long straights. We have 4 quite long straights, in fact. But you also have a lot of high-speed corners. The entire Maggots, Beckles and Chapel complex, Copse, Stowe, best examples, and of course Abbey and Farm Curve. It's all stuff where you need downforce, so you can always have these different approaches between high downforce or medium-high downforce and going to low downforce instead.
Exactly. So, at the moment, the top 5 in the championship coming into the penultimate round. Williams Esports, Chill Blast and Razor tied on 74 points apiece, whereby they both have picked up a victory and also have taken a second place and erased their drop score at the moment. So it will be the best 4 out of 5 results. The Veloce Racing VEXT, the 696, rounds out the top 3 on 66 points. Then it's the West Competition Racing BMW Romania #1 entry that rounds out the top 4 on 63 points. ITB Racing on 55. So the drivers now making their way through Village, through into the loop, and now down Aintree before they head into the Wellington Straits, which is a fast run down to Brooklands. So, based on the previous results, 15 kilos for the pole sitter. West Competition Racing, who start all the way down in 17th, have 10 kilos, and then Williams Esports Chill Blast, who starts in 5th place with Max Voitschner behind the wheel, has 5 kilos of ballast. We will switch it up over again for the final round later on this afternoon. But ladies and gentlemen, can we get some appreciation for our drivers as they're getting ready for lights out here at Silverstone? Please give them a round of applause. Fantastic. Great to have the audience with us here at the Dortmund Messe. But it's Van der Velde and Castorino on the front row as they make their way out of Luffield. The maximum speed during the rolling start is 70 kilometers an hour. If you are out of formation, it's a slam dunk drive-through penalty. They now slow to a crawl. 20 teams, 10 rows of competitors. As we wait with bated breath, the penultimate round of the ADAC Professional Trophy is ready, it is steady, the red lights are on the gantry. We go green and it's pedal to the metal. Van der Velde gets the lead, gets a good start ahead of Castorino as they filter their way through Cops Corner on the opening lap around this 3.661 mile circuit. Castorino is very much in the bump drop behind Van der Velde, who's having to struggle with an Audi laden with 15 kilos of ballast as they make their way through into Beckett's. And then we'll start to accelerate coming out of Chapel Curve. Very much at the moment, Nico, a very good start from the entire field, but someone's just kicked up the grass just out of Chapel, around about probably where Voet and Romagnoli are at the moment.
Absolutely, but you see the experience immediately. Tinko van der Velde obviously has run this car this entire year already in the IGTC, so he has a lot of experience with this thing, knows how to place it, and before the race, despite him not feeling too well, as we heard, because he didn't get too much rest,
yes,
he was quite confident still.
Yes, I mean, Tinko van der Velde and his partner in crime, Igor Rodriguez, are two of the drivers, as Luciano Voet has got Tobias Schur up the inside from Get Closer Racing. Van der Velde and Rodriguez, along with Dara McCormack, were the 3 drivers that won the professional trophy in the 5-round endurance series last season. But Luciano Voet closing in on Joris Appel from Get Closer Racing in the 71 car. So that'll be the red entry. And a scramble behind the number 22, the same number that Jenson Button and Lewis Hamilton used back in 2009 and 2008 respectively, when they picked up their first respective Formula 1 titles. And Nico,
big crash in the back.
Oh dearie me, that is not good.
That was out of Aintree.
Brabham Esports involved in that. Also, I've seen that Michael Romagnoli has had a little bit of a coming together, but the Italian stays holding station in 13th place. So actually that could be the fact that it might be, I'm looking at the map at the moment, I think it is more than likely that, yeah, Romagnoli's dropped back as well. Yeah. George Boothby, the man who actually competed for Yaz Heat in the professional trophy last year, really putting down the hammer in the 992. He's about 4/10 off of Amadeo Castorino with Tinko van der Velde, despite, now they're coming out of Beckett's again, down the Hanger Straight, Beckett's and Chapel. This circuit also hosts the Silverstone 500, which every year will see the Intelligent Money British GT Championship run by the SRO organisation celebrate its 30th anniversary. Here's the replay, powered by Asetek SimSports. So there is Romagnoli. Oh, it's the 137 that turns the Lamborghini around and collects the... Brabham Esports, powered by Eau Rouge. Martin Klaassen had to go exit stage right, take a track cut in the process, and got caught up in the crossfire.
Just really unfortunate. I mean, the McLaren on the inside couldn't really do too much there. you have the radar in the game, and obviously you're going to try to always have the nose in there. If you make them run wide for entry, they lose a lot of momentum. You can stick it down the inside, and then you can set up a pass for Brooklands. But yeah, just a tiny little bit of a misjudgment in spatial awareness, and it can happen that quickly. And Klaassen obviously just completely caught out as a victim there.
Yeah, that was Sean Tempest in the 137 Dakota Esports McLaren that caused the domino rally effect, as Julian Neumann is being closed in on by West Competition BMW Romanus Tudas Juknevicius. So that says to me, surname is Lithuanian. I should know, I've been commentating in Lithuania and Latvia a lot this year. But this is a really good battle. This is a multi-car scrap for 14th position. A little bit tighter going through out of Woodcote by Juknevicius, closing in on Naumann. Polovchuk leading the train, and it's only half a second up the road. Max Voitschner's trying to get a wriggle on in the number 55 Williams Esports Chill Blast McLaren 720S. Obviously a car that was recently updated thanks to Kuno Simulazioni on the version just after the version 1.9 update, where we got Valencia, the 296 GT3 from Ferrari, the updated 992 GT3R from Porsche, and of course the Evo 2 variation of the Lamborghini Huracan that we have on the grid at the moment. But at the moment, with coming up to just under 5 minutes completed, this is a real good battle here. So Voitschner's trying to get on bragging terms with Leuna in the 27 STL Esports Logitech G McLaren, and then there's Richie Tringale, Tadej and Apple rounding out the top 10. But at the moment, battle between the leaders is around 7/10 of a second, so close to 3.5 tenths between current race leader Tinko van der Velde, Amadeo Castorino and George Boothby. And at the moment, with regards to it, well, Van der Velde has set the fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 56.737. In free practice coming up to this, Boothby was the fastest by a clear 6/10. But a race itself, Nico, we know that practice and qualifying, and then you go to the race, are two completely different things.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's always this one thing, you know, qualifying, you have to get one lap perfectly. And there's two viewpoints, you know. It's one, you only have to do one lap, you know. It's easy enough, you have enough time. Well, you'd think so, but not quite. You have to push so much on the limit. If you push a little bit too much, you instantly lose time or slide off the track. And here you have to keep up with this pushing on the limit, basically. We always have this term nowadays, you know, a 24-hour, whatever the race length is, sprint race. It's basically just push lap after push lap after push lap, and you just have to keep up that concentration so much as in the background. There's
that's one of the Ferraris. That's
Tringale, I think.
Oh, that's the number 17 of Glitch Motorsport, who was running at that point. Tringale was running P8. That drops him to the back of the field. And now Boothby has got a real head of steam coming down Hanger in towards Stowe. The 992 Veloce Esports Vexed entry, third in the championship standings at the moment on 66 points. And the driver that will be Aidan Walsingham, that will be in the car next time out in race 2 later on. So this means at this moment nothing is quite yet decided, but this will really put Tinko van der Velde. Now here's the replay. Now that behind is one of the McLaren. Same thing as what we saw earlier. Same thing as what we saw earlier. Contact with the left rear, and the Glitch Motorsport Ferrari ends up turning around. I think that might have been the 44. That was the 44 of Visceral Esports that turned them around at one of the fastest complexes. Right, okay, getting notification of our first time penalty of the race coming in, as George Boothby really getting up close and personal with the number 85 of Amadeo Castorino for second place. The gap is 2.5 tenths. They power out of the corner at Luffield through Woodcote. And look how close Castorino got to the barrier on the inside. I've just been notified that incident between cars 858 and 137 on lap 1. Dakota Esports cops a 15-second time penalty for causing a collision. And that is not a surprise. I'm sure that Race Control are looking at that incident involving Visceral Esports, the 44 of Kevin Tadej, and also Oscar Tringale in the number 17 for the Glitch Esports Ferrari 296 GT3. We ride on board with George Boothby, and that gap between him and Castorino has dipped to just over 0.2 of a second. Boothby tighter on the apex through Stowe. On the run through Vale, he's swarming all over the back of the 85, looking to the outside, heading through into the next right-hander. That's going to put him on the inside line for Club Corner. Boothby had to back out of it.
Bit of side-by-side contact even.
It was side-by-side, and there's the flash of the lights from the Brits coming out of Club Corner down the Hamilton Straight, and now another fast part of the circuit through into the right-hander here at Abbey, through into Farm, then into Village. Castorino makes a mistake. Boothby switches to the outside, and there's Mikhail Statsenko. Castorino has made the back end of that McLaren wider than the circuit at the moment. George Boothby unable to make it through, and the incident between 8.12 and 1.37 on lap 3, no further action. Incident between cars 8.58 and 62, no further action. Those were the two incidents that happened directly after Sean Tempest's move on the 8.58 of Michael Romagnoli. But this is allowing Tinko van der Velde to pull away. He's like a scalded cat on a hot tin roof, is the Dutchman. He's 2 seconds up the road, and Statsenko is closing on Boothby and Castorino.
Yeah, so it's always this little thing, you know, you want to end a battle as quickly as possible. And in some corners, you know, in the high-speed corners here, especially just now at Abbey and at Stowe, you're really having the impression that Castorino is barely able to keep the car on track. I think he's put everything basically into the straight line speed for this car.
Yeah, he's definitely trimmed out the aero to low
look
drag.
At this again, how much he gained in this entire complex here. Now he's completely all over the back.
Here comes Boothby, looking towards the inside. He's going to be 2 wheels on the grass. Castorino! Castorino pulls the left-hand side. Boothby was 2 wheels on the tarmac, 2 wheels on the grass. I think he's just picked up a track cut as a result of coming wide out of Stowe. And Statsenko is chomping at the bit, waiting to get through, out of Club Corner. And now down the international pit straight by the Silverstone wing on the right-hand side, and now through into Abbey.
We actually have a drive-through as well for the number 44.
Tadej has just got a drive-through penalty. That will be more than
that's for causing a collision, yeah.
Yeah, that will be causing a collision. Now, depending on the severity of the incident, it is at Race Control's discretion to call the judgment. It can be as simple as a 5-second time penalty, a drive-through penalty. So, yeah, not at all a surprise there. But look at the battle for second, third and fourth. Tinko van der Velde in the number 5 Williams Esports Razor car, leading the way by 2.5 seconds. Castorino, Boothby, Statsenko, Leon, Wojtner, Richie. Tadej is going to have to serve that drive-through penalty in the next couple of laps. Otherwise, that could be disqualification. Wojtner looking very, very hungry indeed in the number 55 Williams Esports Chill Blast car. And there is Tadej pulling into the pits, so the Visceral Esports car will be demoted right to the tail end of the field with 33 minutes on the timer remaining. But Wojtner, look at the steering inputs from the Polish driver, one of the many new recruits in the biggest and silliest silly season. Forget Formula One. Sim racing put the cherry on the cake on that one, Nico. But this is great. Again, very much a carbon copy of what we've been seeing between Boothby and Castorino. But this is allowing Richie, Vitvoet, Appel, Tobias Schur running out the top 10 to really, really close. And look at that amount of colour that we got coming down the Hanger Straight and into Stowe Corner. Wojtner looking up the inside. Kevin Leon closes the door there. Very, very well timed there. Swept a little bit wider to cut across and close the door for Wojtner. So very, very good strategic driving. But as we know, these drivers are competing for cash prizes. €1,000 out of a total combined prize pool of €5,000 for this year's champions of the professional trophy for 2023. So where has the number 44? Kevin Tadej has dropped all the way down to 19th position. Brabham Esports, powered by Eau Rouge, unfortunately not having the best run of luck, being caught up in the crossfire of that opening lap accident we had, Nico. But you know what? I mean, the 121 of Jeffrey Ritchie, that's the Thomas Engis Sim Racing entry. They are not too far behind the number 55, are they? The thing is,
he's looking, he's prowling.
I mean, obviously with your experience having run with Honda HPD USA on SRO Esports, including with the NSX GT3, a car that we saw actually used quite a bit and to great success in the professional trophy last year. What, as a driver, how would you set up the car to give it your optimum opportunity around here at Silverstone?
It's really difficult because you want the least amount of understeer as possible, but still have a planted rear end. And the thing is with esports drivers, we have the community guys who just set up the car so it's optimal for them, so they can do consistent runs and everything. And it's a little bit more civilized, I'd say, because these guys are like gladiators. They're not just fighting each other; they're fighting the car. And just as a little look back, for example, with Tinko van der Velde at Bathurst, he was constantly just fighting oversteer on that Audi while he was just throwing it over the mountain. And over here, I think it's a lot more stable. It's also depending a little bit of BOP, but always have it just on the edge of being oversteering.
That's very true. I mean, considering the fact that Williams Esports won 2 races of the professional trophy, they're on course for actually looking at the results. I can't believe I'm saying this. We've had 3 different winners from 3 different races. The opening race, Paul Ricard, Dennis Schoeninger, unable to compete due to tendinitis in his left palm. He explained about the reasons why, and it was actually whilst using the steering wheel. George Boothby won at Monza, and then Tinko won last time out at the Nürburgring. But we've gone to a very, very flat circuit, of course, based on a former Royal Air Force base as well.
Yep.
Has hosted the British Grand Prix for both F1 and MotoGP. Also, final warning. So Sakota Esports are incurring the wrath of Michael Hamlet and his team, who are very, very busy at the moment. But look at the viewpoint we see right under the rear diffuser of Amadeo Castorino from Team Racing Point. George Boothby is going to plant it around the outside at Copse Corner. He's going to nudge the rear bumper. That's very, very close indeed. But now we head through in towards Maggots. Boothby's got to just tee him up all over again. Wait to come out of Chapel Curve. And that is going to be his opportunity to strike. The onboard view that we've got at the moment is on the rear diffuser of Amadeo Castorino's Racing Point McLaren, right at ground zero. And it's wonderful. The great thing about sim racing, the camera angles are ridiculous. You can put a camera anywhere on a car, and it's just like a sim racing GoPro, isn't it?
Basically, I mean, we also have the big advantage that it can't fall off on something and just fly around the cockpit.
It's permanently adhered, isn't it?
What I just love about that camera angle in the back of the diffuser, where you'd never put one because all upsets the airflow, But that doesn't matter here because it's a virtual camera and all that. But you could really see the body roll through the entire complex of Maggots, Beckett and Chapel, and you could see how much the car is just struggling for grip. And honestly, one of the guys that I've seen most times, every single time I look on Twitch and he's live, George Boothby, he's streaming Assetto Corsa Competizione. At this point, I think he has more hours than the developers on the game.
George is, not just a great racer, but also one of the many people we have in the sim racing community that stream a lot of their races. Jardier, who's been here at the Expo, always streams, whether it's LFM or SRO Esports. But this is really starting to build. I sense there is a GT3 crescendo coming between these 3, but the biggest thing is that Statsenko is the one that's in the ringside seat. He's in the pound seat. Now, we did see last time out at the Nürburgring when he was battling Tinko van der Velde. They came together. Van der Velde did not finish the race. Statsenko got penalised, and that really dictated the fact that ITV Racing have got to do everything that they can. And looking at their previous results, I mean, ITV Racing, the best result so far was actually at round 1 on the 19th of September at Circuit Paul Ricard. So they have been in the top 5 for every single one of the races, but the win was on the cards for ITV, run by a good man who I first came across at a team called Taro back when because having done some commentary work with SimGrid, he was running with Ahmed Hosseini at that point, funny enough, in a 720 McLaren, but ITB Racing, one of the newer entities within the last 18 months, that have brought some competitive drivers to the Asetek Products Competizione platform. But this battle now is covered, Nico, by 6/10. So Boothby is between a rock and a hard place at the moment, but we know his calibre. We know that Statsenko, given the opportunity, will take it at the snap of her fingers. Castorino, you have to give kudos to for being able to defend. But whilst Castorino is struggling with the ongoing pressure from behind, courtesy of Boothby and Statsenko, Van der Velde has scarpered to a 3.9 second lead. That is climbing, and we're not even halfway through this opening race out of 2 for the 4th and final round.
Yeah, I think right now he's just focusing on keeping the 2 cars behind them, because you have to see it again in 2 different ways. Castorino can really just think of here Boothby as basically his buffer for the next car behind as well. But at the same time, if he's unlucky, if he gets a bad run out of Beckett's and Chapel, then both cars could actually come alongside as well, because it's just such a long run. It depends so much that you get that entire section completely clean. And we saw actually just a few laps ago how quickly Boothby could almost pull alongside, and then Castorino on the limits really with the defense.
Yeah, I mean, considering the fact that we do actually have 6 of the manufacturers that are represented, funny enough, as the finale of the Fanatec GT World Challenge powered by AWS is right now taking place this weekend at Circuit Zandvoort. But Boothby is closing again on Castorino. Gap 0.124 of a second as they were just going through into Stoke Corner. Boothby is now trying to time something. We saw this earlier on. He got a good run coming out of Stowe. This time going through Vale, he looked to the inside. He might try and get the switchback coming out of Club. Now, I have noticed every single time that when Team Racing Points Amadeo Castorino comes through out of Vale and into the right-left complex, he's using a lot more curves. So you see a kick up of dust from the right rear. And this has been, now Statsenko is showing his hand. He's starting to play the blackjack game because he was later on the brakes because Boothby's his yardstick. This is measuring tool at the moment saying, right, okay, if George is braking at 125 metres, I could probably brake at 100 and still make the corner. But then there'll be the point when it won't be the sense of desperation, it will be the sense of urgency that sees one wrong move cause a chain reaction.
Yeah, and I think that's the big problem here. You really have to see the difference between calculated risk and oops, basically, because it can very quickly happen. You know, if you're pushing especially hard, we saw it earlier with the collision which led to the drive-through for Teddy in the 44. He was right behind that and wasn't even fully alongside and just hit the number 17 of Tringali in the back. And obviously that's not on purpose, that's just, okay, I have to pull out, I'm going to try and make a move, and it can just happen that quickly, and especially in these braking situations where Statsenko is just coming close and close and basically going...
Oh, both Boothby and Castorino. As you said that, fate of circumstance rears its ugly head again, Nico.
Oh boy.
That they were at flat chat at that point. And now into the right-hander they go again. Brabham Esports have pitted a couple of laps ago, so it looks like Martin Klaassen will not take the checkered flag. It's a real shame for the team run by ex-F1 driver, multi-time Le Mans 24-hour race winner, and also the man behind Brabham himself, David Brabham, son of three-time... we've had Conegate happen at Silverstone. Someone's taken one out, and I think it's laying just on the outskirts of Club Corner. But this is great. We've got 3 drivers at full throttle coming through out of Abbey into Farm Curve, now into the tight right-hander at Village. Then it's another tight left-hander going onto the loop before they're able to accelerate and go up the gears and then be pretty much at full throttle coming through Aintree. And a little bit of a wider sweep there from Boothby with just under 22 minutes to go. He's showing his nose again. And one of the things that Boothby has stopped doing, Nico, is flashing his headlights at Castorino. Because when we saw him right up the rear diffuser earlier on, thanks to that camera position, Boothby was like, hello, remember me, and like flashing lights. He's stopped doing it now because he's effectively telegraphing, right, I'm going to get you. Jeffrey Ritchie, in the meantime, is now ahead of Max Wojcicki. So they've swapped positions in the interim period.
The camera angle, though. Sideways.
Well,
I mean, Jeffrey, whatever seat position works, if you're just leaning 90 degrees upwards.
Now, the thing is, one of the regulations of this is that it's an online event. But we have several of the teams competing live and direct here at the Expo, folks. So we're actually getting Zoom feeds pumped into our broadcast team. Big thanks to Mike Yao and Steve Proudley, who have been doing an epic job all the way through so far. But Boothby, again, the thing is, what he needs to do, he needs to make that move on Castorino. And the reason being, Veloce's best result was a win at round 2 at Monza. Again, Castorino he's going to come on stuck. If he takes too much grass and too much dirt at one point, as they now come out of Woodcote into Copse, Boothby's right on his rear. Now we ride on back on board with the 992. I mean, 20 minutes to go. All I'm saying is this, is that the number 5 of Williams Esports Chill Blast are laughing all the way to the bank at the moment, because this is really going to give them a maximum score of 40 points. And looking at it from this perspective, okay, Razor, which is the number 50, Chill Blast is the number 5 car. That will put them in the de facto lead on 100 and that will put them on 100 and I tried maths and 114 points. There, I got there in the end. Sorry, Nico. But it will expand the gap between them. And if Boothby gets second, that will put them ahead of Williams Esports Racer going into the final this afternoon. And that is actually quite mouthwatering. But then Boothby will be hit with 10 kilos. But I mean, looking at Team Racing Point, they're 19th. They had a DNS, they had a non-start at Paul Ricard, a DNF at Monza, and then at the Nürburgring finished 10th. And that's going to help them because they go, oh, we fight a little bit more. We get into the top 10. The prize fund that's given to the drivers, the teams, are multiplied from 10th upwards. But this battle here from 5th back is really, really starting to get enjoyable because Luciano Vitvoet for Rocket SimSport is closing on Max Wojcicki. Flames spitting from the back end of the 55. McLaren from the Williams Esports crew, the Chill Blast car. Oh, here we go. Vitvoet goes high, wide and handsome round the outside. He's going to line it up for the inside for the next corner. Are they going to be close? There's going to be a little bit of a rub there.
Overlap,
oh, that's very, very close indeed. They all avoid the cone, including the 71 of Renvelton Esports Red through into Abbey. Again, Vitvoet was doing exactly what we saw from Boothby earlier on, and I don't think Boothby's done yet, but he's starting to lose a little bit of ground on Amedeo Castorino as we're 18 minutes still to go of this first of 2 45-minute races here at the home of British Motor Racing Silverstone. It's always a good track for any kind of motorsport, particularly with GT3s, and it was on the Fanatec GT World Challenge Europe calendar from 2013 to 2019, but it is always the driver's favourite. I mean, even when you got behind the wheel of the Honda NSX, it was one that you enjoyed, wasn't it?
It was one that I enjoyed, but we never had great BOP there, so, I didn't battle too much.
You're going to bring up BOP again? Yeah, we're not going to go into the formalities or the discussions that we previously had, but like I said, it's a true driver's track, isn't it?
The one tricky thing about Silverstone really is, especially when you're in the position of George Boothby right now, you can see how much Castorino was struggling earlier, just mid-corner grip because he's got less downforce. But at the same time, George Boothby, in all these fast corners, has even less downforce despite having maybe more downforce in his setup. Because obviously dirty air is a thing. And even though it's not like with F1, where it has 2 to 3 tons of downforce, this is still about 100 kilos almost, which are just taken away. And you wouldn't think that is too much, but it really is.
You know what? I have to say, shout out to Amadeo Casarino for their respective team gear wear. The Italian tricolore emblazoned on the right sleeve of the T-shirt. It just goes to show the creativity of the identities of the sim racing teams that we have in the greater community, but also in terms of the professional aspects of sim racing. And now the gap, well, Tinko van der Velde, 5.8 seconds up the road, and he's making his way through out of Aintree. As Mats has come to spectate again, he loves this bit. He loves this bit where he doesn't have to say much, just watch what's happening. But 16 minutes to go. Castorino now, and now we've got a really good battle here. Joris Appel from Renvelten Esports in the Renvelten Esports red car. But if anyone has not been over to their stand yet, which is literally just over our immediate left-hand shoulders, has got a lot going on there, including a lovely Audi R8, and I think that might be a V10 Plus, judging by the grille on the front of that thing. But I love the little caption they've got on the side skirt.
Yeah.
And if you understand German, I do, and it was quite funny to see. But this, I mean, the thing is, the Ferrari got a lot of coverage, and it has been a really, really good car. Have you had the opportunity to actually give the Ferrari 296 a try, and what were your first thoughts of it?
I did give it a try, and I did try the Lambo at the same point, but to make a point after the first 12 hours, and the first thought that I had at that point was, damn, I'm doing this lap time, this is so damn easy to drive in comparison. But yeah, really wonderful car around the outside.
And Joris Appel goes wide. He goes wide. He's gonna get that move on Luciano Vitvoet, is he? No, Vitvoet keeps it stuck to the outside. Through they go, door to door. Bit of a touch, right rear to left front.
Has to pull out a bit there.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I mean, the thing is, we do say that motorsport is a non-contact sport, but they do say that rubbing's racing, and that. You know what? I think that was a fairly fair exchange between the pair.
That was absolutely fair. I think it's always, this difference between the different kinds of motorsport, because GT, touring car and all that, that's definitely rubbing as racing. But with prototypes or with open wheel cars, that's not really the best idea, because, wheel on wheel and yoinks, suddenly it flies.
No, because the minute you lose any bit of carbon fibre on the front of it, well, on any part of an LMP or a single-seater, you are at a big old detriment. Yeah, I think at the end of the day, GT3s are a lot sturdier, but we know for a fact that with the damage model on ACC, tyres at this circuit are incredibly crucial.
Yeah.
And I think the thing is, what a lot of us know with the sim racing community is that if you are stuck in dirty air, okay, first of all, you're going to get a speed advantage. Second of all, as you rightly put, you are going to have that downforce backwash from the car in front. So you're in dirty air. But also, if you're trying to drive the car, if you're not in dirty air, you might be overdriving it and slightly cook the tyres. Because the minute the pressures go up...
Even if you don't overdrive it, it's really difficult. Because as I said, they have these amounts of downforce on the car. And without that downforce, all the grip that you get is just mechanical, only from the tires. So the extra stress, that's basically 1,000 kilos, or less than 1,000 kilos, that are taking a bit of a load off of the tires while also putting load onto it. It's difficult to explain. It's a lot of semantics, but the tires are getting rubbed more and the Pirellis aren't having a good time.
Yeah, as we see the recovering Glitch Motorsport entry, and there's the sister Renvelten car. Julian Norwell, all three wide of all the places, and Tringale has got a buy one, get one free through that corner. Nearly a little bit of hip checking between all three of them. It's going to be a 3 wide squeeze into Abbey, and Tringale gets up to 12th position. That was buy one, get one free for the Glitch Motorsport Ferrari And Naumann in the Rennfelden Esports blue Ferrari ends up Piggy in the middle. And then that's Bolavchuk in the number 15 Mercedes that drops like a stone. But Booth Pete again with 11 minutes and 50 seconds on the timer remaining. So that's Jeffrey Ritchie round the outside of Kevin Leon, and there is Max Voigtner making it 3 McLarens. They do say it takes two's company, but three's a crowd. Voigtner looking through out of Woodcock, down in towards Cox Corner. The number 55 lifts off the throttle in the approach into the right-hand sweeper. Now keep your eyes on this through Maggots. Ritchie looking up the inside of Leon on the SDL Esports number 27. And now, look who's behind them. Joris Appel in the number 71 Rennfelden Esports red Ferrari. Luciano Vitvoet is only a further 1.1 seconds back. And then you've got the number 77.
Oh, that was... Did you see that? That little yank to the inside, and then also on the inside of that.
Right.
The Williams,
okay.
They're not done yet.
And we've got a further notification from race control. Unfortunately, Joris Appel has to give that position back to that he's just taken, because he was all four wheels off the circuit. So, effectively, an illegal overtake. So, must return position to Luciano Vitvoet from Rocket SimSport. So that's going to be a change for 8th place. And so, I know for a fact that Joris Appel and the team at Rennfelden will not be happy. But we saw it. It was a case of side by side. And we know for a fact that in any modern day motorsport, even in karting, you use a runoff area, you get a 5-second automatic penalty. In karting, in GT3s, you are ordered by race control to give that position back. But the gap is expanding. 9 3/4 minutes left to go on the timer. Air temperature 16 degrees, track temperature 24 degrees centigrade, so nice and sunny. Perfect conditions for racing. And you know what? I think the community trophy set the standard for this weekend, didn't it? And today we've seen, you know, the first race, when you have this sort of grandstand finale, there's the position being given back. So well played to Joris Appel for heeding race control's instructions. And now that means Luciano Vitvoet goes back up into 8th position for Rocket SimSport. I think this is the calm before the storm. You know, we haven't seen... Okay, we've seen a couple of incidents. We've seen some declared as a racing incident, basically because it was as a result of a catastrophic domino effect.
Yeah.
But later on, when you have got an update in the championship standings, and then you see who are really gunning for that €1,000 top prize, the gloves, the MMA gloves will be on for this afternoon's final race. But your thoughts so far, Nico, because we're 8.5 minutes away from the checkered. Van der Velde's run away with it. We've had a lot of very, very close battles, and it has been very, very strategic. Everyone wants to get points on the board, don't they?
Well, it's been really, honestly, quite a clean race. We only had 2 real big incidents.
Yeah.
Overall speaking, you know, there's a little bit of contact, a little bit of rubbing and racing all the time, but these guys, as the title says in the bottom left corner of the screen, it's the professional trophy for professionals, and these guys know what they're doing. So they know the limits of their car. They have practiced so much for this, and yeah, you can see them with the sleeveless shirts.
Yeah. Had the opportunity. Excuse me. Had the opportunity to chat to him last year at the professional trophy. Well, he's actually using his smartphone as the camera for the Zoom call. Hence the big black borders around it. So, but he's a good sport. He's very, very passionate, is George, as well.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's what I really love about sim racing, though. We have so many different approaches when you're actually racing, as well as we now have. Oh, maybe Statsenko approaching.
Hang on a second. That's the yellow flag. I've just seen the following number show up 55. Oh, that's Max Voigtner. Max Voigtner involved with a possible incident with Jeffrey Ritchie.
It should be fine though, like they're still close together.
Yeah, but there was a yellow flag. Ah, right, I know why. Sean Tempest has pitted. So, okay.
That will be it.
Between 121, that's Thomas Enger SimRacing's Jeffrey Ritchie, and the number 27, actually, that is of SDL Esports, Kevin Leon. Right, no further action, but Statsenko is closing in on Boothby. Second, third, and fourth covered by 4 tenths. Now, now let's have a look at this replay. Now this is Sean Tempest. Oh, straight on, and that won't buff out, I'm afraid.
That looks like pedals disconnected or something. That looked like he just didn't step on the. Basically, that the throttle just stayed completely activated there.
It could either be that the throttle's stuck wide open, or also the fact that
or brake failure.
It's a multitude of things. It could be disconnect, brake failure, steering, the direct drive has failed.
Yeah, I wouldn't say direct drive was failed because he still had, a bit of steering input there. But I think it was probably one of either the brake or the throttle failing. And let me tell you from first-hand experience, a brake failing, especially a load cell brake in a sim rig while you're in an official competition, the worst feeling ever. Okay, second to worst feeling. The worst is being basically in a real car crash because that is terrifying.
Oh, right. Boothby just went off.
He's struggling.
Boothby just went off, so that might mean the tyres might start to be struggling.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I think out of everybody I know, he's got the most, out of any active sim racer, George Boothby has got the most visible tattoos because you can see them every time when he's on his stream. But he made a bit of a mistake there, and that was coming through out of Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel. He went wide. He cut on the inside, so he might have to watch his track cuts now because we're coming down towards the final 4 minutes and 41 seconds until we hit the checkered. Tinko van der Velde is currently on lap 21, as are these three here. So Boothby has got to be very, very wise with how he plays the strategy. Because if he attacks, what he's got to do, Nico, is make sure he's got enough room to make the move. But then on the other side of the coin, he's got to make sure he does not provide a window of opportunity for ITB Racing's Mikhail Statsenko to get past if he makes a mistake.
Absolutely. And I think Josh Boothby is one of these guys, when you watch his streams and whenever he races, especially with that wonderful camera that he has there, you can see how concentrated he is all the time. There's no distractions, always straight laser focused, gaze ahead, always looking at the other cars. And I really think if he just holds back a little bit now, letting the tires maybe a little bit recover, and then pushing on the limit again for these last couple of minutes. It's basically 2 laps to go. 3 laps to go because Van der Velde is a bit further up ahead.
Yeah.
It's going to be quite a battle.
Well, Van der Velde at the moment is just coming out of Chapel Curve. And has been running quite well. He's been running about 4.5 tenths quicker on the previous lap in comparison with Amadeo Castorino. So that gap has expanded quite significantly over the last half an hour because these three have been inseparable. They really, really have, because Statsenko was closing on in. And this will be a solid points haul for the 696 ITB Racing Lamborghini, but Statsenko has 3 minutes. Now Van der Velde is making his way down through into Abbey. These drivers are now coming through out of Club Corner. There's Van der Velde, 5.2 litre naturally aspirated V10, mid-mounted, rear-wheel drive, great weight distribution, great centre of gravity, and can cope with ballast very, very well. And you know what the thing is, Van der Velde has done an absolutely admirable job despite being under the weather, despite having a big lack of sleep. He's here. He said, I'm ready to compete. I want to get this race done. Now we can hand it over to teammate Igor Rodriguez. But then again, we have qualifying and a second 45-minute race. So, at this moment, 2 minutes and 10 seconds to go. Van der Velde now coming out of Luffield. So once he crosses the line, it will be 2 laps to go. So Van der Velde crosses the line now, and there he is, picture in picture.
That's 1 lap and a couple of seconds, just over the threshold.
Exactly.
So that's always the thing that you dread the most in a timed race. You know, when is the leader starting the last lap, and how much fuel do I have left?
Yeah, the thing is that Kevin Tadej has also incurred the wrath of the stewards again. He got a final warning for contact with the 858 of Michael Romagnoli. A little bit earlier on, that's the 858 Absolute Restec by Asetek. So now it is more the case that we will see whether these three. So now Boothby again. He's playing it rather cool here. He's playing it rather cool, this Boothby. So we got a minute to go, folks. It ain't over until the final checkered flag, and that'll be later on today, because at this moment, the number 5 car of Williams Esports Razor will take a lead. Oh, Statsenko makes a big old mistake there. That was not what he wanted in the 696 car. But Van der Velde has done an admirable job. Full maximum success ballast, and he has had 3 drivers in exactly the same machinery, Nico, that have been battling over what has been a GT3 chess stalemate for pretty much 30 to 35 minutes.
Just nothing to add. Like he's just been driving absolutely impeccable, and well, it's Tinko. For me, it's not really a surprise. I've raced him quite a long time, and honestly, back in 2021, when I won the first SRO Esports Bathurst 12 Hours, he was one of the guys that constantly kept me on my toes. And one of the other drivers that constantly kept me on my toes was Igor Rodriguez. So those two guys, you know, normally it's always, with 2 guys for a competition with the same track, maybe one is the weaker link where other teams can profit, but these 2 guys are just a power package.
Indeed, we're on the 24th and final lap of the first race for round 4 of the ADAC SimRacing Expo Professional Trophy for 2023, as our race leader, who's led every single lap, taking pole position in time qualifying, and now makes his way through Addervale into club for what will be the final time. Then it's the run down the Hamilton Straight. It is going to be a pretty good way for Williams to start again, to showcase that they are, for the last 5 years, they have been a powerhouse in sim racing, winning multiple major competitions, one-off events. Van der Velde has done exactly the job that he's needed to do, and he'll hand it over to teammate from Brazil, Igor Rodriguez, who also participated for Team Brazil as part of the FIA Motorsport Games last year at Circuit Paul Ricard. But Van der Velde making his way through Aintree for the 24th and final time, the number 5 Audi R8 LMS. And as we've had a drama, Voitschner and Leon come together. That's a real shame for STL Esports. But now, after 24 laps of the home of British motor racing, race 1 of round 4, it goes the way of the number 5. It's Williams Esports Razor and the Flying Dutchman Tinko van der Velde that picks up the win, taking a maximum score of 40 points. And still, it comes down to the death. Congratulations to Team Racing Points, Amadeo Castorino, Veloce Esports George Boothby, and ITB Racing's Mikhail Statsenko round out the top 4. And a good showing by the likes of, well, I mean, obviously after that incident earlier on, Jeffrey Ritchie for Thomas Enger. Sim Racing takes 5th. Not too sure if that's going to be investigated post-race.
I think that will be. That was still like, that was essentially the same situation as earlier with the 44.
Yeah.
Not quite an overlap. Desperate move. Obviously, it's the last lap. If you're going to make a move, it has to be now. But quite unfortunate. And Leon dropped down to 10th. That must be absolutely gut-wrenching.
And considering the amount of effort that he'd done over the course of the race, and as we said, you know, you have the slightest touch on the back end of a GT4, it doesn't matter what drivetrain configuration it is, someone's going spinning. And we've seen that a couple of times. We saw that with Oscar Tringale for Glitch, and was running 8th at the time. And then we see the moment with Sean Tempest. I mean, and I've just been informed that the drama for Williams Esports number 55, Chill Blast, has just received a 15-second post-race time penalty for causing a collision, and that is with the number 27 of SDL Esports, Kevin Leon. So Max Voitschner is going to... Oh, that's going to drop him way back. That's going to drop him towards the bottom of the top 15.
Yeah, that's going to drop him, right, I think 14th?
Yeah, that's going to drop him to 14th. And 14th, that's, that's 7 points. That they could scrub that as a non-score. They could scrub that as a non-score, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But you know what? Well, we did say that there is an on-site presence here. But you know what? I have to say, it's been a really, really good race. We've got race 2. The gloves are really going to be off later on, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you had a bad race here, I think, for example, Brabham, they're basically going to go in with the mentality, yeah, the only way is up. It literally cannot be worse than as it turned out this time. So, and the others at the same time, I think Igor will have a little bit of pressure. I was going to say before this race that Tinko has a bit of pressure because they already have their strike result as a DNF.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tinko, he's just standing here now confidently.
Yeah.
No bit of pressure
well,
visible at all.
You know what, folks? We do have some of the teams here. Let's hand it over to Luke on the stage with our race 1 winner from Williams Esports. It's Tinko van der Velde. Over to you, Luke.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for our race winner here, Tinko van der Velde. Congratulations, mate. Obviously, not the easiest race in the world, although you made it look like it was. You had the maximum ballast, so for anyone who doesn't understand that, there is success ballast in this championship, which means you have the maximum weight, meaning it hurts your tyres, it hurts your top speed, yet you still come out on top.
Yeah, that's true. Still, the Audi is super fast car, so with the KG I was still able to have really fast pace. And yeah, 0 mistakes, just stay consistent was the key to winning, basically. And also Castorino helped a bit with defending hard to George, made me able to gain a lot of time on them, so that worked out perfectly for me.
So at any point during the race, do you feel any pressure? In the first couple of laps, like you just said, it did take a couple of battling moments for the cars behind for you to be able to pull away, but was there any nerves in those positions?
Definitely at the start, because there's a lot of things that can go wrong. You can miss the timer to go on the throttle, or yeah, you can have half spins in the first few corners with colder tires and low pressures, so a lot of pressure as well from the cars behind, so it's easy to make mistakes. But luckily this time there was no mistakes and I was just clean, so that's good.
Well, we've got race 2 of round 4 later on today. Teammate Igor Rodriguez going into the car. Any tips for your teammate going into later on?
Have fun.
Let's have it up one more time then for your race winner, Tinko van der Velde. While we do that, let's head back over to Alex and Nico to wrap up.
Very much, Luke. Yeah, so folks, don't forget, race 2, the final round of the ADAC SimRacing Expo Professional Trophy for 2023. We'll get things underway at about 4 o'clock this afternoon. Coming up, we've got our next stage panel at 1 p.m. with a particular man who's been from Sim to DTM. We're going to have Tim Heinemann, who is running in the DTM in the wonderful Porsche 911 GT3R that we actually see by KW. We've also got some great panels coming up with the FIA, iRacing, Motorsport UK, and the F1 Creator Series. So join us at 1 o'clock for our next panel here on day 2 of the ADAC SimRacing Expo for 2023, live at the Dortmund Messe. See you in a bit.